الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. So we're doing a type of tafseer which called objective based tafseer. The objective based tafseer, I don't explain every single verse. The fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala divided his book into chapters, logically each chapter must have an objective, a theme. Likewise, ya ikhwa, when I stand out here and I speak for an hour and I keep mumbling right and left, and what are you going to say about me? This guy is not prepared, he didn't prepare his speech, you know. What is the point, you know? Likewise, when Allah speaks, for sure He has a main goal, a main theme, objective for the whole chapter. Otherwise, the Quran would have been one book. There is no need to say this chapter is called this, and we have 114 chapters. The fact that Allah divided them into that means each chapter serves what? A certain goal. So this is the type of tafsir we're doing. We're basically trying to find a higher aim, a main objective of the whole chapter. And you try to assemble the subjects or the verses in light of this. Now, how do you trigger these objectives? How do you come about saying this is the objective? Like, look at this. What is the objective of this chapter? Make up your mind. Don't be wishy-washy. Don't be in the middle. That's the object. That's the whole chapter is about this. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to assemble the verses, group them up in light of this. You're getting the point now. So you know what is an objective-based tafsir now. So you're going to end up getting groups of messages serving, confirming that objective that we came up with. Now, how do you come up with an objective? It is something that is revealed? No, it is not. And that is why this type of tafsir is relatively new to the Muslims. It was included in the older types of tafsir, tafsir al-mawdu'i, tafsir al-tahlili. You know, there are other ways to explain the Quran. It was included, but very few scholars 600, 700 years ago started giving very much attention to that type of tafsir because it helps in particular non-Muslims. Because not being, fluent in the Arabic language, it's a barrier, it's an obstacle. And so for you now to recite a whole chapter and this particular objective in your mind, so you should ask me, why did you come up with this particular objective? Why? From the name of the surah. What is the name of the surah? The people of the heights. We know in the day of judgment there will be people who are in hellfire, people who are in paradise, in Jannah, and in between there is elevated land or earth or a wall. Let's call it a wall. I don't know how it looks like. But on the top of this wall, there are people who don't belong to hell, don't belong to paradise. They didn't make up their mind. So their good deeds protected them from hell. And their bad deeds prevented them from entering Jannah. You're getting it? But again, remember, they have to believe in who? They must have what? As a prerequisite? Tawheed. They must believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's where I got this theme, because that's the name of the surah, and that is the story of the people. And also, I got this particular objective from the story of the people of the Sabbath breakers, which is a Jewish tradition. A certain place in the Mediterranean, God told Bani Israel, the children of Israel, the Jews, that no fishing on Saturday. They ended up fishing on Saturday in a trickery way. So the community broke into three groups. A group that said no to this. Allah is going to punish us. You can't do this. This is haram. And the group who fished and ate the fish. The transgressors. Right? Also in that community there was a group in between. Why? That's not your business. Just, be yourself. You're not going to fix the world. You're getting that. And Allah spoke about those in the surah. So that's also another place where we get what? This theme. But let's travel through the slides here. And by the way, I'm doing slides intentionally in order to confine what I say with the time. Because if I sit here and talk my mind, we're probably going to come out with nothing. And that is why I insist on having a PowerPoint. So this way I'm limiting my time, looking at the clock, and at the same time looking at 28 slides that I have to present tonight. So are you ready? So what is the main objective of Surah Al-Araf? Make up your mind. Here is what we're going to cover tonight. You may be the reason. And this is a puzzle. You'll find out in a minute what does it mean. Also, another way to figure out the objective of a chapter is knowing the background of the chapter. The surah, by the way, means the chapter, background of the chapter. I kind of wrote it in Arabic, Jim. Sorry about that. So it's surah, it's the Arabic word for chapter. Yeah. Also, the context of the revelation is a variable too. When it was revealed. We know that the Quran is different to the previous books. The previous books, whether the Old Testament, the Torah, or the New Testament, which is the Injil, which was given to Prophet Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, they were revealed all at one time. One book came down. The Quran was revealed in how many years? How many? 23 years and 2 months, to be accurate. And we know that the stages of Islam and the Muslims went from weakness, being oppressed, persecuted, to having their own country, state. So when was this chapter revealed? That also tells you, it can help you to trigger the objective of the surah, what the surah is addressing, what the chapter is dealing with, what the chapter is trying. Because remember, the Quran was revealed upon people who were going through it. So knowing the timing, the circumstances, help you understand the surah and be more confident or certain about this objective we decided to have. We asked that question, what is Al-Araf, which is the name of the surah, the heights? I kind of answered it, but we'll go over it. What is the meaning of it? And we're going to talk about the higher aim, the main objective of the chapter. And I kind of also hinted to that, but we'll talk about it. And then we're going to assemble the topics and their interconnection with there is a typo there. Sorry about that. Nobody's noticing, right? Nobody's reading? There is no typo in number 6?
Yeah, there's a 2.
Okay, thank you. So that tells me that you guys paying attention. I mean, I got one with a capital D and one without, right? So, okay. You may be the reason. Surah Al-Araf talks about the people who are completely convinced of the truth, which is monotheism, that they must believe in Allah. Yet they are hesitant, shy away, undecided to fully commit themselves to the cause by adopting its way, believing in it, defending it, and supporting its cause. Why aren't you making up your mind? Your hesitance could be the reason why the truth is not granted victory as of yet. You may be the reason. Are you going to make up your mind? Right? You see, being wishy-washy, halfway, praying for 1 week and not praying for a whole month, or adopting what you like from the religion and what you don't like, you leave it. You see, the religion is a package deal. You know, some people, okay, I like this part, I'm going to take that part, but this, no. You got to make up your mind and make a full commitment to the cause. That's the way it is. And the moment Muslims do this, Allah will lift the calamities, the inflictions. Rest assured of that. So you may be the reason why, Islam is not in good shape, because you have not made up your mind yet. Did you make up your mind, Abdul Rahim? All right. What is Abdul Rahman? Did you make up your mind? All right, alhamdulillah. MashaAllah. Abdul, the guy next to you, Idris, what's his name? Oh, you don't know? Abdul Awwal, something like that. Abdul Ahad? No? Abdul Rafi, yeah. Okay, next. Background of the surah. Again, the surah is the chapter. According to the order of the Mus'haf, we know that before you go there, I'm sorry. Okay, here, we're here. Okay. Like I said, the Quran was revealed in 23 years. But the Quran was put in order when? The final phase. So you may find chapters which were revealed at the very beginning of those 23 years, but yet you will find them where? At the end of the book. So the order of the revelation is different to the order of what? Of the book. Are you getting that? Can you explain to me what I said now?
The surahs were, how do you say it? Like they came out at different times.
Right.
And they were placed in a different order.
In a different order. So the Mus'haf has an order and the revelation has an order. Why? Because some surahs, only 1 or 2 verses were revealed and the rest were revealed what? So the completed number of verses for each chapter were done at the end of time. You're getting that? That is why, look at here, what I'm saying. According to the order of the Mus'haf, this is number 7th. But according to the order of the revelation is number what? 39. So 2 orders. But now be careful. Who decided this order? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said to us in an authentic hadith, Sahih al-Bukhari, hadith ibn Abbas, the narration of Ibn Abbas, that the archangel Jibreel alayhi salam used to come and visit me every Ramadan to review the Quran, which I received already. The last Ramadan, which is a month in a lunar calendar, the last one, he reviewed the Quran with me twice. And with that, the order of the Mus'haf was delivered. He said to him, this chapter should come number 7 in the order of the revelation. It is the longest Makki. What do we mean by Makki? We know that the scholars divided the Quran into 2 types. One type which was revealed in Mecca the first 13 years, and the other type which was revealed in Medina, which is the last 10 years. What is the difference between the first 13 and the last 10 years? Tell me one major difference. You should know that. You don't know? One major difference. The first 13 years and the last 10 years. Yeah, what is the major difference between the first 13 years, Frank, and the last 10 years? What was the change that happened? The first 13 years are like us in America. Individuals living in America happen to be Muslims in a predominant non-Muslim community. You're getting that? The first 13 years, like us in America. America is not a Muslim country, is it? No, it is not. We're just a few individuals who believe in Islam, decided to live here amongst what? So the first 13 years, the Muslims existed amongst what? But idol worshippers. Not Christian, not Jews, and so forth. So the Muslims had no identity in the sense of no country, no entity that represents them in the sense of a state-wise. But what happened when they moved to the city of Medina? An entity was built, established, right? A country. This is a Muslim what? Even though that name is not popular, Muslim state, they cannot defame it, but that's what it means. The Muslim what? The birth of the Muslim, the first Muslim identified country, a country with what? With the Islamic identification. This is ruled by what? Muslims. The Prophet became the leader, the president of the time, even though he still had in his people who are not what? Muslims. And they were granted freedom to stay the way they want. Correct? So when I say Makki, so this chapter deals with what? With people who chose willingly to accept Islam as their religion, and what? And they are living in a predominant non-Muslim environment. They don't have control over the system. They are just part of a larger non-Muslim community. You're getting that? So this is why we say Makki. It's placed after the cattle, which was number 6. It has 266 verses. If you look at this chapter, 206 verses. It's the longest Makki surah in the Quran, by the way. The longest. Al-Araf is the longest chapter revealed in Mecca. Al-Araf. And it was revealed 1 to 2 years before the Muslims were commanded to leave Mecca, leave their wealth behind, leave their families behind, and move to Medina to support the cause. You're getting it? You're getting it. That background also invites to assume this objective. You're going to make a commitment here. You know, you can talk the talk, but now you're going to have to what? Moving is difficult. You know, when you move from, especially your birthplace, from your hometown, is not fun. And we know that they had to flee. They had to leave behind them their money. We know that one of the companions was caught fleeing. Who? What's his name? Suhaib? Abu Yahya? Huh? His name is Suhaib? Huh? They said, you're not going to leave with the money. Where is the money that you made in Mecca? They were in that watch list. You know that like the airports now, you get a watch list. They'll check the thing and they say, okay, this guy is, you can't go. You can't go. Yeah. So that commitment at the time has to be made. So you got to make up your mind. You're getting that. So the timing is a key. Of course, the surah takes its name from verses 46 and 47, which is the people of the heights, which is the people who will be on the top of that wall between paradise and hellfire. Because imagine they were part of this and part of this at the same time. They did not make up what? Their mind. Even though we know at the end they will go to Jannah out of God's mercy, Allah's mercy, but they will have to go through a lot of anxiety. And that's their punishment, by the way. That's the expiation for being, in between. Imagine in Islam when you do one good deeds, how many hasanas are written? How many good deeds are written? In Islam, by the way, when you do one good deed, it's multiplied automatically to 10. But when you do one bad deed, it stays what? 1. That is why our messenger made that statement. He said, woo is, he's in trouble. When you say woo, he's in trouble. Waylun liman ghalabat ahaduhu asharati. The one whose once will outweigh his 10th. He said that here you are, you can multiply so much, and yet imagine these guys are going to end up what? So they were more into the side of what? So this is the background of the surah. Here is the condition of the Muslims at the time of the revelation, and also this is, by the way, another way to trigger an objective. The chapter was revealed towards the end of the Meccan period. By Mecca is the place where the Kaaba is, where Muhammad was born, and Islam started. And that's his hometown. And that's where they expelled him. They kicked him out from there. They drove him out. He had to leave. Scholars mean the period that the messenger of Allah spent in Mecca before he migrated to Medina. Medina is the place where they established the government, the Islamic government, the rule of Islam. When the messenger of Allah went public with the message of Islam, calling everyone to it, he faced mounting opposition, from insults to boycotting. Imagine the Muslims were boycott, no selling and buying with Muslims for 2 years, 3 years, something like that, 2.5. And the opposition against him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Muslims only escalated with time. Quraysh tried always to find points to argue with him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah answered all of these arguments in the previous chapter. Remember, the previous chapter was a clear evidence against them that you should believe in Allah, your lifestyle is not good. Imagine, I'll just name to you 5 things they used to do, the Arabs. Number 1, they were not atheists like the people of our time, by the way. They used to what? They used to believe in Allah, by the way. But they somewhat they believed that you cannot go directly to God. You have to go through intermediary. But they created these intermediaries and they served them. They created idol. They said, okay, this is the intermediary. I believe in God, but I see God in this rock. You're getting it. For me, when I serve this rock, I serve who? I feel like, no, that's a big no in Islam. And that's something that is also mosaic. Just look at the first 10 commandments. What is the first command of the 10 commandments? You shall not take what? Another God before me. What is the extension of that? And you shall not make what? An image. You shall not depict God in a certain image and you worship that. 2, awful. Imagine taking your baby girls and bury them alive. The Arabs used to do this. They used to feel shame for having girls. Imagine this. They used to kill. There was a war in the Arabia for 40 years. You know how many people died? Something like 4,000 people were killed in this war. You know what was the reason behind this war? A camel crossed another tribe's land and ate from the grass there. Total ignorance. The culture of drinking, drinking. Alcohol for the Arabs was like coffee of our time. That is why you're noticing that when Allah wanted to make it unlawful for them, it took what? Stages. He did not say at once, give it up. He kept building them up until, okay, that's it. Because for them that was the water of the time, wine and alcohol. Of course, adultery. You know, imagine some of them would send their wives to sleep with another man in order to have a baby from this man. Top of the line of immorality. Yani, or worse than, but again, the Prophet ﷺ came, and of course the top of the line here is worshipping idols. The Prophet said, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. They didn't like it. They didn't like it. Like I said, ya ikhwa, always, imagine the Prophet ﷺ for 40 years, he was amongst them. What was his title? What did they call him? The trustworthy, the truthful. Because of what? He never told them stop doing something. You see, as long as you don't tell people this is wrong and this is bad, the people are going to like you. But the moment that you start, imagine the moment that he stood up on this mountain and he said, okay, guys, you're going to have to stop this. I'm a warner to you. If you don't stop that lifestyle, if you don't worship, if you don't refrain from polytheism and become monotheistic, if you do not stop doing this, immediately, liar. Possessed by jinn, demons, he's bewitched. He has sorcery right away. Why? Because when you start telling people this is right and this is wrong, that's why you're supposed to be what? Patience. Ya bunayya, aqim as-salah, wa'mur bil ma'ruf, wanha 'anil munkar wasbir. When you enjoin good and forbid evil, if you do not have patience, then you're in trouble. So this is the condition of the Muslims. Building up here, basically the call to Islam in Mecca reached a dead end and got into a deadlock. Khalas. The people are not accepting it. They are not liking it. Allah is about to command his messengers and the companions to migrate. The hijrah is the Arabic word for migration. Was about to take place. Muslims are to be commanded to take a stand for the cause and to migrate and leave behind their families and wealth for the sake of Allah. Only believers who made up their minds will make this commitment, I'm telling you. And we have an evidence in this. We know that in the Battle of Badr, which is the first conflict, military conflict between the Muslims and the non-Muslims, which is 2 years after the migration, some people were killed in Badr who were Muslims, who didn't make up their mind, and they didn't obey the command to migrate, because the command to migration at the time, by the way, was like the salah, praying 5 times. You have no choice. Migrate. Except if you're weak or you can't do it. It was like you have to. You don't have an option. You're getting that? It's not like now. Well, I don't feel like it. No. So there are people actually who stayed behind, and they were Muslims because they were undecided. And what happened? Because they were hiding their beliefs. When the non-Muslims are to go and fight the Muslims, they took these Muslims out. And of course they have to go, otherwise they're going to reveal their what? Their religion. Are you guys following me, or I'm in my own planet here? No? You're following me? I make sense? Jim, are you understanding what we're saying? Alhamdulillah. So only believers will make that commitment. Connecting Al-An'am with Al-Araf. Al-An'am is the previous chapter. What is the connection between the two? In Surah Al-An'am, Allah built a case against the disbelievers, that monotheism is the truth. Remember what we said about this chapter. That's why it was revealed all at once. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala established the clear evidence against them. Surah Al-Araf is a continuation of the argument. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us and telling them to take a look at the past. There are great lessons. Surah Al-Araf presents the truth of Tawheed from a historical perspective. It took you, or it will take you on a journey along the history of humanity from the time of Adam to our time, and how people reacted to the subject of monotheism, of Tawheed. So you're getting the picture now. It described the interactions between the messengers of Allah and their people and the consequences of these interactions. The interactions produced three types of people. You always find those three types. The first type, opponents. People who don't like it. We don't like that religion, Islam. We don't believe in it. Always. The second, supporters. But here is the third type. And this is the subject of this chapter. This chapter talks about the third type. Unsure, and by the way, I went to check Google and I got all of this. I'm not like, you guys don't think that I took some English classes or something. I mean, I just found being undecided, what is the synonym, something like that. You know, my daughter told me this, you know, she told me that's what you should do. Unsure, uncertain, doubtful, indecisive. That this one I don't even have idea. Dubious, I don't know what is that. From what? Doubt? Is it doubt? Originates from doubt? Unresolved, I like this. Being unresolved. That's the group that this surah deals with. The chapter warns mainly against having undecided positions to win both worlds, because you're trying to make this happy and this happy is not going to work. It's not going to work. You're going to try to make the people who are doing the haram and the people who are saying no to the haram, at the end of the day, you're going to have to decide what? Otherwise, you're going to end up on that wall at the end. Make up your mind. You're about to sacrifice the land of your birth, family and wealth to give victory to Islam. And this is again in context not to us, but in context of what? Of the immediate revelation. But it could apply to us. You're getting that? Good enough? What is Al-Araf? We can explain that. Al-Araf is a plural of Al-Urf. Scholars like Mujahid say Al-Araf is a barrier between paradise and hellfire. It is an elevated piece of land between paradise and hellfire, which house those people whose good and bad deeds are equal. Their good deeds prevented them from entering hell, while their bad deeds prevented them from entering paradise. Al-Araf also, very interesting, ikhwa, is a derivative of a term which Al-Urf. Al-Urf is the custom, the societal norms, the culture, the tradition, the knowledge which you gain from society, the way of the fathers, the way of the ancestors, Urf. Like Pakistani culture, like Egyptian culture, like African culture, like American culture. That's actually the meaning of the word Al-Urf too. Al-A'raf, Al-Urf. And I will tie this into the objective at the end, inshallah. You will see. We're doing good with time. Still have 25 minutes. Let's rush here. The main objective, like I said, make up your mind. The chapter takes you into a journey along the history of humanity from the time of Adam to the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, passing by prophets like Noah, Hud, Salih, Lot, Shu'aib, Moses and Aaron. These are the stories mentioned. The chapter always displays the three types of people who formed around these messengers, which we mentioned earlier. Remember them? What are the three types? Opponents, supporters, wishy-washy in between. I like it, but I'm not going to do it. You know, that kind of thing, that kind of attitude. The chapter presents also the obstacles which hindered and obstructed type 3 from making up their minds. The chapter talked about, mentioned in details why these people did not make up their mind. What stood in between them and making a commitment. Ready? Are we good? Moving forward? Yes? All right, next. Topics and their interconnection with the main objective. I'm sorry I couldn't do any better with that slide. But through that historical presentation, the following subjects are presented. Not in every single story, but every story will have one of these two. The conflict between truth and falsehood is non-stop until the day of judgment. That's Allah, how Allah did it. Al-haq wal-batil until the day of judgment. It will never stop. Satan is a major instrument in this conflict from the very beginning. And that's why the first story is the story of who? Adam and Satan. Here's an obstacle, your culture. Cultural versus revelation. Evils begin, or evil, I don't know if there is a plural for evil, begin as a tradition. Then they are attributed to the revelation. That is how the steps, that's how, or this is what the, I don't know, there's something wrong here. How the steps of all previous nations have been. Oh yeah, so that's correct, yeah. So this is how, you know, things start with people creating things, making up things, and then they attribute it to the religion. It becomes a religion. And then a messenger will come to change it. No, we're going to follow our what? Our fathers and sisters. Heedlessness, forgetfulness, taking this world for amusement. You know, also that's a big hindrance. Not understanding the wisdom behind why you're here. You're here actually to achieve that commitment. And once you do that, you succeeded. By the way, the fact that we all are still alive, that we have not done it. That's include everybody here. Because the moment that you're done, Allah, your test is over. It's like the test is done. Okay, take time to go. But the fact that you're still here, I'm still here, that means we didn't do very well yet. We're still struggling. So we gotta figure it out. You know, we still have to figure it out. The defeat of the truth leads to the spread of corruption, wickedness, immorality in earth. That's unfortunate. That's why the people who hold the truth have to be what? In charge. When you leave the world to the people who do not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, believe in God, they don't have the consciousness of God. They're not going to fear. They're not going to, you know, they are going to wrong other people. They're going to serve the rich, the segments who support them. It's corruption. The source of wickedness is right here. But subhanallah, listen to this. This is always al-aqibatu lil-muttaqeen. As long as from the supporting group, from that group who believes and support the cause, don't worry about it. The good end belongs to you, to the pious, to the righteous. What happened here? To the pious, to the righteous. If not in this world, you may lose this world. You may not get it in this world, but for sure the hereafter Allah will compensate you. The surah again presented the three types of people during the conflicts, with more emphasis on the passive, undecided, the negative group, to invite them to do what? To make up what? Their minds. The obstacles are presented like throughout the chapters, other obstacles. We're almost done here. I still have another what? 15 minutes, right? Here is the historical journey in this chapter. Story of Adam, Eve, Satan. A famous story even in the Bible. But we have our own version of it. Look at verses 11 to 58, the longest story mentioned. So from 11 to 58. This conflict carried on, it's ongoing. Story of Noah, story of Ad, story of Thamud, Flut. These are the people mentioned, and there is a conclusion at the end. But the whole thing started with an introduction to the chapter from verses 1 to 10. Like I said, the name of the chapter is Al-Araf, the people of the heights. But again, remember what I told you, that Al-Araf also is an Islamic term referring to culture, custom, tradition, social norms, knowledge of a given society. You notice that the first 10 verses talks about the significance of the revelation. Follow the revelation. Don't follow the culture. Don't follow what the people say. Follow the divine revelation. Because the moment that you start following people, you're going to misguide it. You're going to go astray. Look at the verse number 2. This is the book, which is the Quran, sent down to you, O Muhammad, so let not your breast, your chest, be narrow therefrom. Because some people shy away to speak out the revelation. The revelation says this. What are you doing? It's against the revelation. It's against the wahy. It's against the Quran and Sunnah. Don't shy away from it. Right? Follow what has been sent down to you. Don't follow other ways. And in that first part of the chapter, which is the first 10 verses, the Quran warns mankind against the consequences of not following the book. Meaning that do as you please in this world, but there will be what? A day of judgment. Let's go into the story of Adam and Eve and Satan. It's 11, I meant 11 to 58, by the way. There is a typo there. Because 1 to 10 talks about the book, so 11 to 58, if you correct that. But what is the story of Adam and according to the Islamic tradition? We know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created a race before the race of the human. What is the name of this race? Jinn. Jinn kind. Jinn is a name of something which you do not see. Because they are with us right now as we speak, but we don't see them. We just don't see them. Spirits, they call them spirits, demons. Right? Jinn. Satan was part of that race. And that's the big difference between the Old Testament, Jinn, and Quran, the revelation. In Christianity, they assume Satan to be a fallen angel. Satan was never an angel because we believe angels worship God unwillingly. They don't have a choice. God created them in a state of do. They don't think in the sense of they don't deliberate the command. They don't like two races only they get to think. Consider human and jinn. So Satan was a jinni, but he was the best of them. He was the best of his race, by the way. He was very pious and righteous. As a result of this, God elevated him. He said, you come and sit with the angels. Because you achieve piety and righteousness, even though you had a choice. But unfortunately, arrogance and pride may come to you from that window. And that's why you have to be very careful. Oh, I'm pious. Be careful. You have to always what? God knew what's in his heart. That he developed what? Pride. He felt he's special. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed that he would create our father Adam. Adam, by the way, was not born. Adam was shaped up. Allah shaped him with his own hands in a way that suits him, subhanahu. Right? Who was watching all of this develop? Satan. He's seeing that Allah is giving so much interest now, attention to that new creation. He started envying us already. It's like I was the special one. Now it looks like what? Someone else is taking. So he was seated with the angels because angels are doing a lot of work for us. I don't know if you know this or not. They are following us wherever we go. There was a long time ago, I remember this very well. I was in Maryland and I used to watch it and enjoy it. What do you call this? Soap operas or something like that? Or Touched by Angels. Do you remember something like that? The past, Touched by Angels? Where the angels are doing certain things for you and you actually could see the angels and all of that. I mean, it's a non-Muslim stuff. Of course, we do not see the angels. But again, God commanded the angels to bow down to Adam in a way that you're going to be serving the trees. You're going to be doing service for the trees, not to worship Adam. Who was seated there with the angels? Satan. So all the angels, because they don't have a choice, what did they do? But Satan refused. So God asked him, why didn't you bow down like everyone else? What was in his chest came out. And that's why, ya ikhwa, be careful what you have in your heart, because Allah is going to test you based on that. So Allah got the inside out. He said, I shouldn't be bowing down to this guy. I'm better than him. I'm created from that. Why do you prefer him over me? Right? Then Allah said to him, now as I elevated you because of your obedience, now you're what? Get down. Go down. That's why they say he's a fallen angel. I mean, there is a place for that. But he was not an angel as a creation-wise. So what happened? He came back begging, can you please reprieve me? Reprieve me, give me what? Time to live. Anyone would assume that you need time to live in order to do what? To repent. But he said, no, I want to show you that this race doesn't deserve that. Allow me to live until the day of judgment to prove to you that Adam and his children are what? Are not deserving that status which you've given them. You prefer them over me. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after he created Adam, he wanted Adam to go through an experiment. So he placed him in this garden. This is all mentioned in that surah, by the way, in these verses. I'm explaining 58 verses for you right now. So he placed him in this garden and he said to him what? Eat from anywhere you want, except one tree. Don't come near it. And be careful, because there is a guy out there who doesn't like you, who's going to be around you trying to deceive you, which the Christians or the Jews, they refer to by the serpents, right? The snake. But that's Satan. In Islam, we say, by the way, that his race normally more into taking the shape of snakes. Like, there are a lot of snakes which are jinn, because the jinn go inside their body. At any rate, here is what happened. The story presented the beginning of the conflict. It started by telling us how Satan made our ancestors, Adam and Eve, to leave the heaven, the paradise. The three of them came down to earth. And from that point, Satan became the number one enemy for humanity. And how he asked him to keep him alive, to show him the, you're going to have to say that word, vulnerability of this new creature, the human being. The story presented the conflict's final outcome with a beautiful graphic scene A conversation between the three types of people. The whole story ended with what? Adam, and ended with the people in Jannah and the people in hell are talking to one another, and there are people in the middle. The three groups again. And this is all in these verses. If you read these verses with that understanding, beautiful. Beautiful, man. When you read the Quran with that understanding, you feel empowered that you're able to comprehend the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, let me finish up the story here. So imagine this, Adam and his wife were decided. They were decided. We're not going to eat from the tree. They actually did this for a while. They only ate from that which they are supposed to eat. Who came to them and made them undecided? Who got them? Shaitan. Shaitan, by the way, did not tell them go and eat from the tree. If you read carefully the text, no, he didn't say that. He said what? Oh, Adam, you know that there is a tree out there in this garden? If you eat from it, you're going to become immortal, meaning you will never die. And look what he said. You know, they tell you the reason why Adam believed Satan, because Satan said, by Allah, وَقَاسَمَهُمَا. By Allah, I'm telling you the truth. Adam said there is no way there is somebody who's going to say, who's going to swear using the name of Allah in vain. He had a good what? Good intention. He didn't think bad about the guy. That, you know, it's like, so when you look at the term, فَدَلَّهُمَا بِغُرُورٍ. He made them undecided. And at the end, he didn't say to him, come and eat from it. He said, what? I just want to show it to you. Just look at it. You don't have to eat from it. And remember what Allah said to him? Allah said to him, do not eat or do not come near it. Do not come near it. Don't even see it. Stay away from it. Likewise, a lot of commands in the Quran, like don't come near alcohol. If you don't want to drink, don't have alcohol around you. Don't be in the vicinity of people who drink. That's not going to help you. Adultery as well. Don't come near those people. You know, stay away from what can tickle the desire to do something. So the first thing that we get from the story, 4 calls to us. Look at this. 4 calls to the children of Adam. Look at the first one. يا بني آدم قد أنزلنا عليكم لباسا يواري سوآتكم وريشا ولباس التقوى ذلك خير ذلك من آيات الله لعلهم يذكرون. Remember, as long as Adam was following the command, he did not see his what? His private parts. Actually, he was not wearing anything, but this didn't bother him as long as he's what? But the moment that he ate from the tree, what happened? Likewise, if you want to have that righteousness and piety, be obedient. Look at the second one. 4 calls. يا بني آدم لا يفتننكم الشيطان كما أخرج أبويكم من الجنة ينزع عنهما لباسهما ليريهما ما وري عنهما من سوآتهما. O children of Adam, look at 27. Let not Satan deceive you as he got your parents, Adam and Eve, out of the paradise, stripping them of their raiment to show them their private parts. Verily, he sees you and his kind while you don't see them. They are with us right now, I tell you. And our lecture tonight is an invitation to them to become Muslims, because some of them become Muslims. But some of them serve shaitan, serve the agenda of Satan. So they see us while we don't see them. The third call, Don't be extravagant. Don't be wasteful. The last and the most important call, I'm going to send messengers to you from time to time, showing you the verses which should invite you to believe in me. If you do that, you're not going to be in trouble. يا بني آدم إما يأتينكم رسل منكم يقصون عليكم آياتي فمن اتقى وأصلح فلا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. Look at the final outcome of this conflict. So Adam ate from the tree, him and his wife. Right? So pay attention here. Satan disobeyed, Adam disobeyed. Both of them disobeyed, right? But yet Adam and us and his kids were given a second chance, and Satan did not. Oh. Why? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when God asked Adam and his wife, why did you do this? Haven't I warned you against this? What did they say? What did they say? I'm sorry. I made a mistake. That's all Allah want to see from us, by the way, in this world. They said, we made a mistake, you know, we're weak and this guy got us in trouble. Please forgive us. Can you give us a chance again? God giving them the chance again. And that's the test on earth. And if we manage that test, we'll go back to heaven again. But why Satan was not accepted? Because he justified the sin. He found a reason. You don't do this with God. You got a break. And that's how you come back. That's how he accepts you again. Again, very important, the concept of repentance versus the original sin. Christians, for example, they promoted the original sin. We believe actually that Adam repented and God accepted his repentance, but Adam had to pay an expiation. And the expiation is to go through the test again in earth with more restrictions, not just the 3. Don't commit adultery, don't fornicate, don't steal, don't lie. More than what? And you have to earn your money now. You have to earn your living. You see, in paradise, he used to have food. It was easy. But here in this world, it's more difficult. And Satan also came down with us. The same guy who was there. And that's why Allah is telling us, do not allow him to do the same thing he was doing to who? Who did to who? Your father. Of course, the conflict final outcome in the hereafter. So the final outcome in this world, Satan was given a second chance. Why? Adam and his offspring were given a second chance. Why? Because they did what? They repented. And a key to repentance is to regret what you have done. Satan did not, because he was arrogant. He justified his sin. Why did you do this? Why shouldn't I? That kind of attitude. You can't do this with God. The final outcome in the hereafter, that scene at the very end of those 58 chapters, where the people of Jannah and the people of Hell are talking to one another. The people of Jannah are telling the people of Hell, did you guys find what you were warned against? Yeah. What about you? Yeah, we have water and food here. Can you give us some food? And in between, the people on the top of that mountain, and they look here and they look here. That's the final outcome. Through a conversation between the two groups, it's beautiful. Just read these verses here, out of this world. How Satan made our father undecided. And I think I kind of said that. It tells us that the tricks of Satan used to turn our ancestor from being decided to being undecided, and consequently eat from the tree. See the following verses? That's what I was telling you, that he took an oath and he said that to them, and he convinced them that, come on, think about it. See, the moment that you start thinking about it, khalas, it's over. Okay, I'm going to have to rush here. I'm enjoying it. I don't know if you guys are, but I think I'm already over my time, 5 minutes. So, the way of the ancestors can be an obstacle. Yes, that is mentioned in those 58 verses, by the way. Heedlessness and forgetfulness and taking this world for amusement. Look at these verses. Within the 58 verses can be an obstacle, like I mentioned at the very beginning. Look at this is a conversation. And the dwellers of fire will call upon the dwellers of paradise, can you pour upon us some water or anything that Allah has provided you with? They will say both water and provision Allah has forbidden to the disbelievers. Who are those who took the religion as an amusement and play, and the life of this world deceived them? So this day we shall forget them as they forgotten their meeting with Allah, and as they used to reject our proofs, evidences, verses. That's a conversation between the two. It's actually in this chapter. Beautiful, beautiful. Number 3, and we're going to rush through this inshallah, the ongoing conflict. So Adam repented, he came down to the ground, he lived for another 1,000 years, mashallah, he went back to Jannah, alhamdulillah. But Satan stayed with us until the day of judgment, with his kids. And the surah starts telling us by how Satan misled thousands of population over time, and give us examples of some prophets who suffered in order to guide their lost companions. Notice the people of Noah. Each nation harbored a moral, social, financial disease beside the major violation of monotheism. Like the people of Lot, what was their issue? And a subject that, you know, homosexuality. America now unfortunately is heading that route. Equal sex or something, they call it same sex something, gender. Oh, that was why Allah destroyed them, why God destroyed them. The people of Shu'aib, they were cheaters, they used to cheat. The Pharaoh, he was arrogant. The people of Ad, they felt that they are superior. They had superiority, they super nationalism, whatever it is, you know. Beside, the 3 groups were present in each story. You will notice this. Look at the story of Noah. Oh, again, I'm going to have to rush through this, but these are the verses 59 to 64. The story of Ad, 65 to 72. I'm going to have to give you the numbers now. You have to do that in your own. Again, each nation, they violated the main principle, which is what? Tawheed. La ilaha illallah. They worshipped other beside Allah. And another social, moral disease. Whether it is financial, with money, whether it is cheating, whether it is morality, whatever it is. The people of Thamud, the people of Thamud are like us now, I think. More like us. They were very comfortable with this world. Allah giving them a lot of, they had a very comfortable life. You know, when you have a comfortable life, you don't want to come out to do the work. You don't want to come and pray 5 times a day. Here's the problem with the people of Lot. Lot is Sodom and Gomorrah. That's what the biblical term. Story of Madian. They were cheaters. They used to cheat. You know, 85, 94. Here is the longest story now. So the story of Adam and Satan, this one, imagine, from 103 to 171, almost third of the chapter. The children of Israel, the Jews in Egypt with Moses and Aaron. Story of Moses and Aaron and the Pharaoh who ruled Egypt. He was a tyrant who oppressed the children of Israel. He used every means to demean them and disgrace them. Notice the passiveness of the children of Israel. They were not decided. You know, when Prophet Musa went to his meeting, what they did, they ended up worshiping what? The calf, the Sabbath, the people of the Sabbath, the Sabbath breakers. Imagine after they crossed the desert, they found people worshiping idols. They said, can we have an idol like those guys? So they were not what? They were not big helpers. And when Allah said to Prophet Musa, go to Jerusalem, the promised land, they said what? No, giants are living there. We can't go with you. You know, and Just go you and your Lord, figure it out, and we'll, you know, that's the passiveness, that's being undecided. They are not committed to the cause. Conclusion, how come you didn't make up your mind yet? When your intuition calls upon you, look at these verses, 72, 172, 174. It reminds us with a promise we made a long time ago. Desires, the story of Bil'am, loving this world. Seek protection from Allah, with Allah from Satan, because he's the only one who can help you. Salvation in that revelation. SubhanAllah, this chapter, ya ikhwa, finishes with the first sajda. A sajda. Now make that sajda with what? I'm all decided. Sajda is a prostration, a certain sign. I think there are 13 of them in the Quran. When you recite that verse, regardless of what you're doing, you have to go down in prostration in the ground. You have to place your forehead in the ground. So the last verse 206 is one of those. The first one actually in the revelation from. And remember at the very beginning, who was asked to prostrate? And who said no? Satan. And that is why the Prophet said to us that when we do that sajda, Satan actually puts sand on his head. He says, I was asked to prostrate and I refused and I got myself in trouble. And here is the children of Adam. They are asked to prostrate in a revelation like this and they do it. That's why it bothers him to do that. Imagine when you make that sajda with resolute, you know, okay, oh Allah, I'm decided. I have decided to make up my mind. That's it.